OBS if you want and send it to you later
Uh,
for safety.
if you want, yes, great. Okay. So, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well today. So for today's session, we have Mu'tasim with us. Super excited to have him here, to be honest. He was actually a part of the Gaming Academy, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And he gave us a really cool session on Unity, if I remember correctly. So
Mhm.
this time around, actually, Mu'tasim asked if he could talk about Godot, and we were actually looking for someone that could do that. So he's going to be giving us a pretty good overview on what it is, how it works, etc., etc. And then when we're done with that, I think we'll have a game ready, right? By the end of this session. Is that right?
Yes, we should have a
Awesome.
game ready.
That's going to be really
Mhm.
fun. So yeah, Mu'tasim he is a really cool expert game developer. He's been working in game dev since 2016. Whoops. He's taught game development as well, and he's worked on quite a variety of projects. He's done mobile, he's done desktop, he's done consoles, and he's super interested in creating a bunch of really big, emotional, thought-evoking kind of games. So, Mu'tasim, I'm gonna turn off my microphone and hand it all the way to you. All yours.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds great. Hello and welcome everyone. So as Ashraf said, today we will be speaking a bit deeply on the Godot game engine. And let's actually please give the link in the description because I actually haven't. And we also have the directory where most of the resources about the project will be. And so let's begin. So yeah, last time we spoke about Unity and AI. It was more of a deep dive and quite the intermediate one. But for today, it will be more going back to the basics with Godot. So let's begin. So we have a small slideshow over here. So first of all, like who I am or who am I? I am, well, apparently I am a game developer since 2116. It's actually, which is a bit funny, but yeah. So yeah, I dream of basically building a whole generation of games that connect us and are actually tinted with our color, or in other words, inspired by our own culture. So now we should actually begin with who are you? So like I expect that most of everyone in here is either new to game development or is already in game development and just want to hear more about Godot. And you might want to stay in the business of game development for a very long time. You will have obviously some goals and they're a question mark because everyone has their own goals. Some of you may have a few companies that they want to work in. Some of you might have their own ideas where they want to establish their entire studio, and some people may just want to have a secondary job besides their own degree. Everyone has their own goals. So the question is, how can we get started? Well, if you were to ask me 20 years ago, like how would we get started with like game development, my answer would be Flash. Well, not this Flash, but more like this Flash, Adobe Flash. Like it was basically the ruling, like if you wanted to make games you would just get started with Flash and you would make all kinds of web-based games and so on, and it was very good. And if you were to ask me 10 years ago, I would answer Unity because it had far more advantages than Flash, and we actually know now that Flash died. But Unity probably won't die like Flash, hopefully. Yeah, 10 years ago, if you were to ask me, I would say the perfect answer is Unity. Now, for today, I would personally say the correct answer would be Godot Game Engine. Now, why do I say that? Like there are two phases. Basically, first you need to actually learn, and that's going to take some time. And then you need to actually start working in the industry, and that also is going to take time until you build experience and so on. So basically, when we are trying to learn something, we should be looking forward and ahead rather than what's popular today. Because if I'm going to be completely honest, if you are to speak like today, if you want to go look, for example, at game development companies, you will find far more job opportunities when it comes to Unity than Godot. But let's recall like one of the key points. Like we want to stay in this business for a very long time. So if you start with Unity and Unity is on a downhill trend, and we'll go through that a bit later. So like, yeah, that's basically the intention behind this advice. And that's why we basically go with Godot. So let's look at Godot, like why today I think Godot is the best or like the best approach. Unity is on a downhill trend. It doesn't mean that it will die. No, Unity will stay probably in business like longer than Flash, but Unity is on a definite downhill trend. And Unreal is stable. It's just Unreal, like nothing is changing with it. But you can't make all sorts of projects with it. I mean, technically you can, but each tool has its own strengths and weaknesses. And from my own perspective, I see Godot as a good candidate for an engine that's going to compete with Unity rather than Unreal. And as a small fun fact, I actually have used Unity since like Unity 4.6, which is like way in the past, like way too long ago. And the things I used to hear about Unity back in that day are the same exact things I hear about Godot today. And on the other end of things, Godot is on a massive upwards trend. Like not trending as in viral, not going viral type of trend, but like its projection is only improving. And if you look at its GitHub, it's only improving. And between each update, you will see massive improvements. Whereas in Unity, well, it's a mess. So why Godot? Basically, from the perspective of your career. First, if you are building a business, for example, you're building your own studio, it's going to be completely free. You don't have to pay Unity anything. You don't have to pay like any royalties or anything like that. And if we're being honest, if you want to, manage your own business and your own studio, the Pro license of Unity or even the Unreal's cut, it's going to take a toll on you, especially in the years where things are rough. So it's completely free. And the second part is it has like all the skills are completely transferable. And finally, it's the easiest to get started with. So most people here like want to learn and improve and stuff. So it makes most sense to get started with what's easiest to learn, especially since we have all of the skills are completely transferable. And finally, it's a good long-term investment from my own opinion. So what is it that really matters? So now let's talk about what is it that really matters. So the most important thing when it comes to the game industry or game development in general is being patient. It's more important than the game engine itself. Like you need to be patient. It's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. Nothing in life is easy, to be honest. So yeah, you will need to be flexible and willing to learn. You will need to continuously improve yourself. You don't need to start with Godot and stick with Godot. You can start with Godot, use the transferable skills, and then hop on to Unity. And then, for example, go to the company that uses Unity and work for them and so on. Like, it's all your call. You also need to explore all of the various possibilities and also lock in, which sounds contradictory. But what I'm trying to say is you need to explore your options and then determine your goal. And then based on your goal, you need to lock in on a few specific tools that help you reach your goals, basically. And so, where should you look, like where to lock in? As I said, you explore the various tools to their absolute limits, and then based on your goals, as you learn, you will reach a conclusion on which tool suits you best. And if I'm being honest, the thing that matters the most, like the number one criteria for you selecting a tool, is to choose the tool that makes you feel most comfortable. Wherever you are most comfortable, that's the way to go. For me personally, I started long ago, and it was back in the days where Unity was the correct answer to get started. So yeah, I happened to start with Unity. But as I tried Godot, it was the tool that I was most comfortable in, to be honest. So yeah, I'm slowly transitioning to there. So I'm slowly transitioning to that side of thing, which is basically the land of Godot. So basically, to summarize a little bit, why would you choose Godot? It's the easiest to get started with. It's the best long-term investment. You are not tied to any company and any weird regulations they may have or and so on. So let's talk about how to make the most out of everything that you watch in here. First things first, like this doesn't just apply to the Godot session, it probably applies for everything, for everywhere else. It's actually quite yeah, so let's see how. So the first time, so let's say you have some learning materials. The first time you need to get, like the first time you follow along to the best of your ability. So if it's a video, you watch it. If it's reading material, you read it. And you follow along to the best of your ability. By the end of this, like the first time you go through these materials, you may not have reached the same end. You may not have, for example, finished the game. You may not have like managed to follow along perfectly, and that's completely fine because there will be a second time. So basically, like this segment is aimed towards like everyone who wants to make the most out of everything they learn. So the first time you watch or read along, and to the best of your ability, you try to follow along and do the same things that the learning materials tell you to do. The second time you watch and read the materials again, and then you follow again, like you follow along one more time, but this time there should be a difference that you are going at it at your own pace. You need to base, like you're going at it at your own pace. So you take your own personal notes. You will note, okay, I struggled in this part. You write these notes. I struggled here, 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 and there. And then finally, or almost finally, there is a third time that you go through the same learning materials. You create the same project from scratch. So we're going to create a small game today, and we will look at it in a few seconds. So like you will create a whole game, and like the third time, you create that same project from scratch without looking at the materials. You are only allowed to look at the materials when you get stuck, basically. So that's the third time. And obviously, the places where you get stuck in, make sure to write them down. And finally, the final step, which is optional, you create another project inspired by the one you created. So, for example, we will create a small game where you try to hunt down small horses and stuff. Basically, you try maybe, for example, to create waves or multiple levels, or even change just the colors or change the visuals and make it so that you catch different things other than horses. Basically, that's the final optional step. And let's get started. Let's start building. And let's start building. So how do we start building? Well, we need to download Godot first. And oh, that's so unfortunate. If we go here and try to download it, like, you look at the file size and then you realize that it's actually 70 megabytes. And yeah, that's one of the good things in Godot. It's very small and very lightweight. So yeah, you just download this zip file. You just download this zip file. And once it finishes downloading, you go to, like, here it is, like I already downloaded it. So now you need to install it. It's basically this, that's it. That's the entire engine. It's just two good, like two small fancy files, and you click on it twice, and there we go. We already have it. Like that's it. That's like the engine is already installed. And let's go back to the and let's actually look at the where is it again? Yeah, not the slides. This directory. So let's look at this directory. So we have, this is the complete project. You can download it once we are done after this session. And then there is this starter project, which you should use basically to be able to follow along with me pretty easily. So let's download, and it's going to take like well, depending on, like, it's just 20 megabytes. It's not that large really, but my browser is hanging for whatever unlucky reason, I guess. Let's see, download again. I guess my antivirus is I'm not sure what it is. Like, I'm using Opera and apparently it's not liking this. So yeah, let's pretend that you download, like basically you can download it on your end and extract it and then extract it. So after you extract the files that are, oh, there it is. It just started. Yeah, it has taken a bit, like it took longer than expected. So you will be greeted with this window, and this window, like you basically explore all of the things that, like, you basically explore all of the things that you like, all of the projects that you already have opened. So I guess we finished downloading, and that's fine. So you will extract it somewhere, and then you need to import this project. You click on import. And for example, for me, I know it's on the desktop, and game projects, Godot projects, GA starter, and and then you basically have this. So if you look carefully, import, like, then find the extracted file, then you basically need to click import, and it will just open. And it's opening. Let's check the chat a little bit. Yeah, okay, that's looking good. Okay, so this is nothing more than an environment that I already prepared so we can start coding, basically. Now, it might, like, obviously everything is going to look confusing, so let's explore the UI first, and then we will start building. So if you go to the most top left and then click on New Scene, you will see that you have, like, if you open a new Godot project, it will look exactly like this. But I already built one level, so yeah, that's it. So let's say we want to build some environment and some level. What is the game? It's 2D. So you click in here, and you need to give it a name. So if you look here, we have something here. It's called Node 2D, and everything that's in the 2D world needs to live in here. So level. And let's hit save and save. I clicked Control S, by the way. I renamed this to level. I renamed this to level. I renamed it to level, and then I clicked Control S. Like, you can see the shortcut in here, and it saved the level. So that's the first level. I actually already made a level, so let's rename it. So let's call it level 2. And when we change the name of the file, we should also, it's good practice to also change the name of the root node. So level 2. Yeah, there we go. Level 2 in here and level 2 in here. And we have our files in here. So let's say you have some art, like for example, this project that I already prepared has some art inside of it, like some visuals and so on. Yeah, you can see all the sprites in here. So for example, we have a small castle, we have some arrows, we have some cards. And how am I, like, putting them here? Nothing, like I'm just dragging and dropping, as you can see. Yeah, simple stuff. And that's basically how I assembled the environment. Now, obviously, having everything on the screen. So for example, you can see this is our background. So for example, this is our background. How can we get the background? Like if you look here, level 1, which is the one that I made. Yeah, you can see that's the background. And look here. Oh, it's showing on top. Why is it showing on top? It's very simple. So if you look on the left, we have all of the things that we placed. So we just drag this, put it at the top, and there we go. Now everything is inside of it. But let's say we have our enemies and we have everything. Like things can get very cluttered and messy in here. So it's good practice to basically organize things. And how do we organize it? You click the plus, and then you click Node 2D again. And then you can say, for example, arrows. For example, all your arrows, you can place them here. Well, we only have one arrow, so that's not very helpful. Let's, for example, create another node 2D. And let's say, for example, cards. And let's place all of our cards in here. So yeah, it's very good to organize your workspace. So let's save and let's scroll up a little bit. Let's scroll up a little bit and let's do this and do this. And yeah, so if you look at the files in here, yeah, you can see we have levels and we have scenes. So I already made or assembled the visuals of horses. So we have a horse like this. We have a horse like this, as you can see. So these are the horses. So let's look in here and horses. And there we go. So now we placed all of our horses. But what if we don't want to see the horses? We can hide them like this with the eye. What if we want to change the color of the horses? So it's now white. If you click in here, you will see it has nothing like it. It doesn't have a color prop. Oh, it has a color property. So I was wrong. Yeah, it's in here. It's just hidden. It's visibility. So if you click like this, let's change the color. Okay, that's too much. Let's change the color perhaps. And you will see that, yeah, I was zoomed in at the wrong horse. Like I was, yeah, that's the horse that, there we go. So we can change the color as we wish. Yeah, so let's see. Now, what if we want to change the color for all horses? We can select the horses, but there is a much better way to do that. So when we have like something that we want to be shared between all objects that are the same, so all of these are horses, we typically tend to save these objects as files. And if you look here, we have scenes. We have something called horse. If we double click on it, you can see we have another tab. It's called horse tab. The first node is called horse. And if we click here, we have visibility. If we click on it again and change the color to maybe green, and then we click on scene and then save. And then let's close the horse tab. Let's go back. And there we go. These horses are green. And this horse is orange or yellow. Whatever this color is. Why is this one different? Because we changed it by hand. So how can we revert it to the original color? Look here on the right side. There we go. Just click like this. And now it's green, which is the original or default color, that we assigned inside of the file. Okay, so let's start with some action. So let's start with, so let's get started with some action. And let's choose a player. So let's choose a player. So, like, what's the player? Like, it's going to be, something that we move. Okay, so let's choose this guy as our player. We want him to move. Well, first we need to click. By the way, I switched back to level 1. If you don't find level 1 in here, you basically need to open levels and then double click on this and it will open. So if we hit play and it's on the top right side, hit play, it will tell you like the game doesn't know what scene is the default scene. Like we don't know what's the default scene. So what do you do? Well, like the default scene is basically default level. Like it's also called default level, which is the place where the game starts. So when the player launches the game, what do we show him? We want to show him this level. Why? Because we will code everything in here. So select current scene, and we can see we have our game and it's running at this resolution and we can't do anything. Okay, that's fine. So how do we add movement to this player? So let's think of the movement that we want. We want the player to move left and right and then collect horses that will come running from this side. So the horses will be running in this side, like from this direction, from right to left, and the player needs to basically collect them all. So let's think about it. We want the player to move. How do we move things? Well, we move things based on physics. Whenever we hear movement, we should always think physics. So how do we add physics? Click the plus icon again, and then node 2D. And then you basically need to search until you find something that's related to physics. Collision object, physics body, there it is. And then you have a rigid body or a character body. You can read the description actually. You can read the description actually, and you will quickly realize that static is for walls. Rigid body is basically for like things that are affected by gravity and friction and so on. And character body is basically, there it is, specialized for characters moved by code. So let's add this. And if you look here, you will see we have a small dot in the center. If we deselect, it vanishes. If we click, it shows up. It's very, very tiny, very small. So that's that's going to be our player. So let's double click to rename it and then type player. And now we have our player. But the player is empty. Like he doesn't have visuals. All we tell him is like, this is some physics thing, but it doesn't have visuals. How can we add the visuals? Well, we already have the visuals, so let's place it inside. If you try to move it like here, it really doesn't work. You need to actually make it a child. So how do we make things children? So like the parent controls children. So like the parent instructs children and teaches them and so on. And same thing here, basically, like in Godot, children are typically like controlled by the parent, like the parent tells them and so on. So how do we make them a parent and child? How do we make them a parent and child? Well, we grab the character and just place him inside. And then if we click on this here and try to move, you will see that our player is not in the center. Like our player is not in the center. But that's actually wrong. The player is in the correct position, but the visuals are in the wrong position. So if we move them away like this, you will see that the center is here, like the center of this object is here, but the visuals are far. How do we fix it? Again, this is changing a property, and all properties are on the right side. Colors are invisibility. Transform contains our position. So we revert it. It's now back to 0, 0. And now if we hit play, yeah, we still don't have anything that moves, and that's bad. How can we add movement? We need to create code. Like we need to move things by code. Like we need to read the player input and so on. So we click the plus icon, and you can see like Godot opens this window. What do we like? It tells us which language to use. Godot supports multiple languages, but we will use GD script. And then like we don't need to ever change this one. Like it automatically is handled by the engine. And then we have a template. So Godot can actually give us a basic movement template. So let's get started by using it. But before you click create, you should be aware of the path. So the path is levels and then player. So the script will be placed inside of this directory. So let's hit create and see. So Godot, like you don't need to install Visual Studio. You don't need to install Visual Studio or anything. Godot has its own code editor inside of the game engine itself. And that's very nice. Like, yeah. So let's look at where is our script? Like, where is our code? Like the file where we place our code? It's in levels. So if we click on levels, you can see here is our script. Obviously, that's a very bad place for the script to be in. So let's put it at the very top. Okay, here is our script. So let's hit play and just see what we have. Well, we have movement. We have movement. The character moved, but he falls on the ground. And if I click on the arrows, he will just move like, yeah, he will just keep going down infinity. Okay, so how can we now make him stop falling? We will have to start reading this class and modify it. So typically movement is, so if you click on this player and then look for transform and then look at the position, there is an X position. What happens if we change it? So if I click, left click and then move the mouse, you can see the character is moving. So the X changes so the X position, like the X position changes the left and right, and the Y position changes the, like, up and down. So basically, what we can conclude is our character moves down because of this. This thing keeps changing. So let's drag our player back up again. Make sure when you are moving the player, make sure you are clicked on the player and not the character. If you are to make, like, yeah. So just to make sure things are fine, click on the character and make sure the position is 0, 0. Otherwise, this will mess up everything for you. And then you can click here on the player and click on the lock. Now, if you click on the player, it will always select the root. So if you click on somewhere else and then you select the player, it will always select the root now, which is the player basically. Okay, so let's go back to the script and let's look. So our script is this. So we need to look for stuff that's related to the Y axis. So speed, a constant, makes sense, it's speed. Velocity, which is like jump velocity. Okay, we don't want jumping in this game. So let's just remove this and look. Oh, it showed an error for us, which says, yeah, like the jump velocity no longer exists. Our game doesn't have a floor and we don't have jumping. So let's just remove all of that. So you can see handle jump and it says like it scans for some input and does a few things. Yeah, we don't care. So remove the jumping. Okay, what if we hit play now? Yeah, we'll still fall, obviously. Okay, so what else is changing the Y? What else is changing the Y? Let's look. Oh, gravity. Okay, so we have get gravity. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. So gravity, pulls us downward. So let's delete and so basically if we are not on floor, then we will keep increasing the velocity by the gravity. And we don't want that. Like we don't want to fall. So let's delete the gravity things. Let's hit play. Okay, and we have like the player moves left and right, but we can't move up and down. Oh, that's unfortunate. So how can we move? So how can we now move up and down? The easiest way is, so like the up and down movement is very similar to the Y movement. So to the X movement, I mean. So the X movement, which is the left and right, is like made by this code. It happens by this code. So let's just do the smartest thing that we can do, which is copy. And then we have some space in here. Let's hit paste. And then, oh, we have some error. Yeah, we have an error here. So what is it? It says direction is already declared. So it's already declared. So we already have a variable named direction. Var stands for variable. Okay. So what is this direction actually? This is the X direction and this is the Y direction. We're now going to move on Y. So let's just add an underscore and then call it Y. Now everything works just fine. But if we hit play, it's not going to work. Why? because we're still reading the left and right input. We don't want left and right. We want up and down. We want up and down. So up, down. And if you're not sure what to write, yeah, you can see like the autocomplete helped us. Now, if we hit play, if I press up, if I press down, oh, something is wrong. It's still not working. Why is that? But left and right still works, so that's good. Let's try one more time. So let's look at the if statement. The if statement, so the if statement basically checks for that direction. But what direction are we using? We're using the y direction. So let's use that. So here is our y direction. And let's copy it. And no need to copy. So underscore y and underscore y. So now if we hit play, there will still be error. Up, but if I move up, it moves me left. If I press down, it moves me to the right side. Okay, we're close. We're close. So I think, some of you already figured it out. We basically change everything that's related to X and make it a Y. Now, if we hit play, yay, our player moves. But this movement speed is way too slow. So 500 play, and that's much better. But for testing purposes, let's make it 550. Okay, so now that's very nice. So yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool. Okay, so let's see. We have these. So we have these horses. We have these horses and the trees and all of that stuff. So what do we want now? We want to basically make the player collide with something in here. So let's add a wall. Let's add a wall. What is the wall? We actually already saw it. Collision object, static object, objects that cannot move. Yeah, that's what we want. So wall. And you can see we have this, which tells us, oh, there is no collision shape. Let's add a collision shape then. What is the collision shape? You can search for it or you can write it down. I already memorized the name, so it's collision shape. And then click this, and it's a rectangle because it's a wall. And you can see we have these, but they are kind of hard to click. So you need to zoom in and then click, and then you just drag them like this. And now we have an upper wall. Let's make the wall a little bit thicker. Yeah, there we go. Now, if we hit play, you will not see this wall. And we actually pass through it. Now, why can we pass through it? Probably because of this error. So let's look here. So what does it say? Consider adding a collision shape. And again, what is the collision shape? Like we already added it, but we can't see what does it do. So let's add it here first and then see if that will fix things. So collision shape and then to the right side. And then I want this one to be a capsule. So here is a capsule. And let's just do, oh, okay. Yeah, that was yeah, I moved it. So if this happens to you, click Control Z to undo, and then click here, and you can see you can control the radius, or you can click on this mouse thing, and then yeah, it's because of the snapping. It's because of the snapping. So we have snapping enabled. So now if I disable the snapping, it works. So yeah, you can see. But it's best if we keep the snapping on because it makes it easier to click on things. So yeah, so let's revert the snapping. I clicked it again. Now, if I try to, yeah, this happens as you can see. In any case, we can have all of the fine controls that we need, like however we want. So let's make this our collision shape then. Let's hit play. I'm hitting and I'm hitting the wall. Uh,
Mutassim, if you're speaking, you're just muted. Just letting you know. It seems like you're still muted. Yep, the top right next to the camera. Yes.
Oh, for how long was
Yes,
I
perfect.
muted, by the way?
Uh, I don't know, like 40 seconds. I think like 10, 15 seconds before I told you.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's perfect. I thought like I was
Yeah, yeah.
muted since you did.
No, no,
That
no,
would
you're all
have
good. Yeah,
been
yeah. No, we weren't watching a silent movie. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'm glad that it's working. Yeah. Okay, so I had a little bit of a scare there and with the muting, but yeah, let's see. So we have our so yeah, we have our player. So we have our player, and if we hit play again, now we can collide with these. Now we can collide with these walls. Yeah, and oh, by the way, like I know we might be going a little bit like on the faster end, but like yeah, it's recorded, and as I mentioned, the ideal way to learn is basically to go through like is basically to follow that approach. So this way, you actually consume the most amount of information. The first time you watch it, you will most likely miss a few things, and then the second time you watch it, you will actually reach until the end, and then the third time you don't watch it, you do the project on your own, and then the fourth time, which is completely optional, you recreate it and expand on it, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the ideal way to learn. It's actually how I learned myself, to be honest. Okay, so yeah, sorry, it might be a bit of a different setup than what's typically used, I guess, but it's like it's a good way. Like, give it a try. Okay, so let's see. So we have our player, and he collides with the walls. And let's go with the yeah. So now we have this upper wall. So how can we create a secondary wall? It's actually really simple. So Control and D, make sure you have this one selected, and then Control D. And then if you make sure you click on this. Now, wherever you click on the screen, you can move the thing, like you can move this. Or you can go to the transform and actually change the Y position directly. And now you hit play and you will collide like this, and you will collide like this. Perfect. Okay, so now we want to make a horse that actually walks to the left. Where is the horse? Let's remember. I actually already assembled a horse. So if I move it around, here it is. We have a horse, good old horse. If we click play, if I try to move, okay, at least I can collide with the horse. Why? Because I already ensured the horse has collisions. I already saved it in a file, and you can see it has a collision shape. It has a sprite, which is the visuals. It has the physics root object, which is called character body, and so on. So let's see now. We want the horse to move, but how do we move things? We move things by code, like we saw. So we created the player class. We created the player class with the help of, with the help of the template. So let's look. Let's look at the horse. Let's go back to 2D. Where should we add the class? For the player, we clicked the plus, like in the level, we just clicked the plus in here. But for the horse, like where should we click it? Should we add it here, or should we add it in the file? I will actually show you, like I will do it the wrong way first. So we will add it here. This is the wrong way, but Yeah, and I will change the path so that it actually comes on top. So this is the wrong way. We should actually add it here, but I will show you why later. Like it's best if you see if you see why it's an issue like yourself by yourself. So let's look in here. So let's look in here. We have this same template, and if we just hit play, the player will actually be moving the horse too. Like the player will be moving the horse, but the horse didn't fall to the abyss. Why? Because it has collision shape, and we already have a wall in here. So let's go to the script. So if we click here, we're back at the script, and let's actually create it with our own hands. So let's delete, let's keep the speed. Let's keep the speed, and let's delete everything else. Let's delete everything else. And so we have the keyword, which is named pass over here. Basically, it means like, basically, it tells, by the way, if you do this, make sure you press a tab. There is a small little thing in here. And in C sharp, we have some things like curly braces like this, but we don't have those in Godot. So yeah, in Godot, we have tabs, and you can see there is like a small sign in here that tells you it's one tab, two tabs, three tabs. So a function, and then these two dots, and then a tab, and then you write pass. Yeah, so pass means don't show an error. I know this function is empty. So let's fill this function. So we already have the speed, and let's make the speed 450. You remember our player was 550. So how do we move the player? We need a direction. So var direction equal 0. And then let's look at the player. We look here, we have something called velocity, we have move and slide. I will tell you pre-hand, like I will just tell you like the key is in move and slide. But ideally, if you are learning through exploration, you're the type of person who likes to explore things, you would compare these two scripts and try to basically make the horse move based on this script. But we're not going through the exploration phase, like we're not learning through exploration now. It's more of the basically follow along style. So direction equals 0, and if we just say move and slide, yeah, nothing will happen. The horse will not move at all. Yeah, that's to be expected. So we want then we have the second thing that's important, which is called velocity. So velocity dot x, we only care about the x value. So the horse moves left and right. So velocity dot x equals the direction multiplied by speed. So direction multiplied by speed is basically how we tell anything to move. And let's click play, and okay, so he still isn't. So he still is not moving yet. Why is that? Our direction is 0. Yeah, that's bad. What if our direction is 1? He'll move to the right side. There we go. So obviously, -1. Okay, so this is happening. That's good. So now we are moving. So yeah, that's it. Like our horse can now move. So now, why is it? Let's see the funny thing. What if I drag another horse and another horse, and I hit play? Yeah, only one of them moves. Why? Because we added, let's remember, what was the operation of things. So first we drag the horse, and then in this level, like in this tab, we clicked on the horse and then clicked this, and it added a class. We don't want that. We should have added the class in here inside of the file itself. So if you want something shared between all horses, or for example, if it's a coin, if you want it shared between all coins, you need to add it inside of the file itself. Okay, if you click the plus, you will see it asks you to create a new class, but we don't want to create a new class or script. We want to create reuse the class that we have, which is the horse. So drag it, drop it, scene, save scene, level, hit play, and everyone should move in theory. There we go. Everyone moves now. Okay, and that's really good, and that's really good. So now we have the horses that can move, but we want to detect when we hit, like we want to detect when we hit one of these horses, like basically remove the horse. We want to, remove the horse. So how can we do that? It's something called, like we will have to rely on something that is called signals. We have to rely on something that is called signals basically. So and areas. So if we like expand the player and click on the plus icon and search for area 2D, look here. So what does it do? A region of 2D space that detects collisions. That's it. It detects them. This one, the area 2D, basically allows us to know when we touch, like when we intersect or touch one of this square, basically. Not the horse shape, but the square. So it has this question mark, not, this exclamation mark. And it again asks for collision shape. So plus collision shape 2D, and then this, and then, okay, so what should it be? Let's make it a square. And then I need to click this. By the way, we have snapping on, so the movement of this will be a bit weird. Or you can just do it like this, like just enter the numbers. And now we have this. Okay, so hit play. Oh, and yeah, nothing happens. So what do we want? When we touch a horse, we want to destroy the horse. We want to destroy the horse. So how can we do that? Well, it's very, 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 very simple. So where is it again? Yeah, so it's the signals node. And then if you look here, basically, node and then signals. So you click on the area, node, then signals, and then you can see it tells you many things. So basically, this one will speak, the area will speak to us through this place, which is called body entered. It will speak to our player class. So here's our player class. So when a body, which is a character body in this case, when a character body touches this square that's on the player, we will do something in our code. So let's click connect, and it opened us the player script automatically. And if we click enter in here and just print body, let's just print body.name, hit play, and now horse. See, it printed the horse. It printed the wall. And here it printed another wall too. And in here it printed another wall. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. So how can we now, how can we destroy the horse? How can we now destroy the horse? Body dot q3. Now, if we touch the horse, actually, the player killed itself. Yeah, if you actually know, yeah, that's funny. So the player killed itself. So it printed the word player, and then whoop, it killed itself. It killed itself through this function. So we need to do something called filtering. Like we need to filter this result and only make sure it does the queue free when we touch a horse. So if body dot in is in uh, is in group horse, and then we close the brace, and then we add these two dots, and then we press enter, and then we take this and paste it here. Now if we hit play, you can see it printed the horse, but it didn't destroy the horse. Why is that? Why? Because we don't know, like the horse, we tell the horse what group is it in? No, we didn't. So let's go to the horse file again. Let's go to the file and then click on node. And then you can see we have a tab called groups. So groups. And then we basically click the plus and then say horse. So now the horse is in the horse group, and that's a very bad name. So yeah, that's going to be very confusing. So let's rename it and call it horse group. Horses group. So let's rename the group to actually horses group. So we actually know, like we actually spot the difference between the horse name, which is here, and the horses group. So horses group, and now save. So scene, save, and then return to our level 2D, hit play. Okay, at least the horses vanish and the wall didn't vanish and the player didn't vanish. Perfect. Now, what do we need to do? We need to update our score. We need to update our score. So let's look. So we have our canvas. So if we look at our game manager and then expand it, and then you can see we have a panel, and then we have this you win, and then we have this you lose screen. Yeah, so we have these two screens ready. And the canvas layer is basically, a UI thing. And then we have the game manager, which is a normal Node 2D. So I double-clicked Node 2D, created a game manager, and that's it. That's our game manager. So what does our game manager need to do? Well, update the score for starters. So let's do this. So game manager. So let's click the plus icon and then it says game manager. It will place it inside of levels and that's a poor place. So let's, remove that and click add. And there we go. So now we have this class. So we have this ready function, which is basically like it says node tree and stuff and scene tree. Basically, when the game starts, basically the ready is like when the game starts, and we don't really care. Actually, yeah, we don't really care about that as now. This one runs every frame. So for as long as you are running the game, the process will keep running. So what do we want to do? We want to basically change the score. We want to change the score. So here is the score label. I will left click on it and then hold Alt and then drag and drop it here. And we can see we have this, and then we can see we have this. And now we can write text dot, so dot text equals, and then, for example, let's say ABCD. So hit play, and boom, we have ABCD. So how did I know? Now the question, oh, okay. So now, how did I know? How did I know that I need to? Okay, let's put it here. So how did I know? Like I need to write this dot text thing. It's actually that's very important. So I know that I have the label here. So I zoomed in, and then I looked on the right side and it said score space. Now, where is this score space? What if I change this? Oh, okay. So here it is. See? So when I change this box, everything inside of it changes. Now, what about the text? Now, how did I know I had to write dot text? Basically because of this. So like I looked here, here is the square, and I hovered here, and it said property and then text in bold. That's how I knew I should write dot, like that's how I knew I should write text. So for example, for the player, let's say we want to change the color of the player. How would I do that? I would go to the player script and then I would look for the property I want to change. I want to change visibility. I would expand it and look, I have something called modulate, which is the color. So if I change this color by code, then it will change. Now, how do I access it? Well, you can see it says property and then modulate on in bold. So what if I just write modulate equals and then maybe just write color, and then dot, and then, let's do this dark magenta. There we go. The color of the player has changed. See? So that's like, if you follow this trick, basically, first think of what you want to do, then do it in the editor, then look at the property that you have changed, and then try to figure out how to change it through code. And that's it. Like, that's like this will get you very far when you are starting out, basically. And that's exactly what I did. I looked here, text, and then, yeah, that's it. And I modified it. Now, we don't want to change it yeah, so how do we increase our score? Well, let's create a function called func and then say increase our score. And then do this. Yeah, write it like this, basically. Ensure you do like open the braces, close the braces, double dots, and then enter, and then pass, so you do not get an error. Okay, perfect. So what do we want to do in this score? We want to change the text so that it becomes score and then our actual number, Okay, so let's do it like this. And then in the process, let's just call our function, okay? Now you can see we have an error here. Why? Because we are adding a text with a number and this doesn't work. So how can we fix it? We turn this number into text. Hit play. Okay, so score is 0, but that's not what we want. We want to increase it. So var current score equals 0. Now, how did okay, so const, what we used here, means it's something that we can't change. Var means it's something that we can change. So current score equals 0. Okay, so what if we do this? Then we will definitely get an error, and you can test it on your own, but you'll have to trust me. We would get an error if we don't add this str. The str is something that, makes it a text, and you saw, like, turns the number into a text. So, okay, but the number stayed as 0. How can we fix it? Very simple. Uh, so the current score is like current score plus 1. For someone who has never programmed before, this line might be confusing, especially if you are from a mathematical background. But imagine we did this. So new score equals this, and then the current score is equal the new score. So yeah, that's one way we can do it. Let's see, and prove that it works, and it works. But yeah, we can merge these two lines into one, and that's it. And there we go. Yeah. Now our score goes up to infinity, but we don't want that. We want our score to only increase when we call this function. And where should we call this function? Aha, when we destroy the horse. When we destroy the horse, which is in here. So in here, kill the horse, increase the score. How can we increase the score? We need to access the game manager. Let's remember, how did we access the score label? We left clicked on it, dragged it, and then we pressed on Alt, and then we let go, and then we can just say, oh, you can see it auto-completed our increased score. So let's try it. Okay, so this works. But you saw at the very start of the game, it says score, and then the one just pops up. So let's fix that. And that's where the ready function, actually we don't need we don't need the ready function. We can just fix it in the editor. So yeah, something like this. And now you can see 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, here is the script of our player. This approach works, okay? This approach works. But this approach is very poor / bad practice. This approach is very poor / bad practice. Why? Let's look here. So the player is here. The player is here, and our game manager is here. So This our game manager spoke to his own children in this manner, okay? This player is speaking to the game manager as if it's one of his own children, and that is poor practice. So the parent can talk to the parent can talk to the children in this manner, but the game manager, you can think of it as a separate family. You have to address him with some respect, if that makes sense. And how can you give him the proper respect? Well, you basically need to click on the game manager itself, go to nodes, and then click on the plus and then say game manager group. Game manager group. Now we have this game manager group, which is now attached to the game manager itself. So basically now in the player, you need to say var game manager equals get tree dot get nodes in group. And now what was the group name? Game manager group. Is that correct? Yes, game manager group. You can also click on this and just copy and paste it, And then you need to do this. Now, this is a very lengthy line compared to everything else that you have seen. At this stage, I would recommend you just memorize it. But essentially, what this line means is look through everything that's in here and find everything that is in the game managers group or game manager group and basically give me the very first element. Typically this is the game manager. So there is only one of them, so that's fine. And now you can say game manager dot what dot increase the score. And now hit play and it should work just like before. Now, to be fair, ideally the game manager should actually be a singleton. But if we make it a singleton, that's going to overcomplicate things and that's not necessary at this stage. So you can use the groups for it. Okay, perfect. But yeah, I will add a small homework here. Not homework, but a small note here. Note, this is poor practice. You should cache the game manager inside of ready function for the best performance. Yeah, because this one, but we don't care about optimizations now. What we care about is exploring the various features of the Godot game engine. Okay, so how can we win? How can we win? Who is responsible for the winning and losing? Obviously, the game manager. So the game manager increases our score, and let's look at the horse. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say if we Okay, so let's say if we pick 4 horses, if we manage to capture 4 horses, we win the game, and then we show the you win label, if that makes sense. So how can we do it? Well, if current score is greater or equal than 4 horses, for example, then add these two semicolon, these two dots. And then, for example, we want to show the UN. So I clicked on this and then dragged it and dropped it. And then what do I need to change? Which property do I need to change? Let's remember. So here is the UN. It's hidden. It has this toggle. What is this toggle? Well, let's look at it in the inspector. So inspector, which is where all the properties live. Visibility. Oh, visible. There we go. There we go. It's the visible thing. Oh yeah, you need to click on the here, and then you can see it also has visibility and visible. Okay, so we just need to control the visible property. What is it? You can see it's written visible, small of it is small letter, and then written in bold, and then it's a bool, so it holds true or false. You can see the default value is true. Okay, perfect. So dot visible equals true. Perfect. So now if we get 4 horses, we win. So let me make a 4th horse by duplicating this and then clicking the W. and then just putting this horse here, and then putting this horse here, and then putting this horse here, and finally putting this horse here. Okay, this one is, let's just do it like this. And now let's take them all. Okay, perfect. You win. Okay, we are almost there. The game is shaping up. So let's restart our level. So we want to restart our level when? We want to restart our level, for example, after 3 seconds. Okay, so note/homework. This is poor/hard coded. Look at export and make an exported variable. Just a note for, when you're like revisiting this project. This is not an ideal structure at all, but I will at least include notes, but or more ideally use a singleton. But at least for the things that are very poor practice, which is placeholder for this session, I'll at least leave comments on them. Okay, perfect. So how can we restart the level? Well, get get 3.reload current scene, hit play, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it repeats. Perfect. But we didn't really see the UN screen, which is unfortunate. So how should we fix it? Let's add a small delay. Let's add a small delay. So how can we add a small delay? How can we add a small delay in here? That's actually really simple. So if you click on the game manager, click plus, search for timer, and there we go. We have a timer. How much should the timer be? 4 seconds, for example. Okay, how can we know when the timer is done? The same way we detected the horses. So we went to the node. So if you remember on the player, clicked on area 2D, and then we went to signals, and then we double clicked here. Signals is like, you send like when something happens, you tell a place in your code to run a certain thing. So when we touch somebody or physics object, we call this basically. Now, when we finish the timer, what should we call? Let's look here, timer, and then node, and then signal, timeout. Who should it talk to? Should it talk to the player? Of course not. It should talk to the game manager. And now you can see we have a new function, and the solution is very simple. You do it like this, and then you hit play. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you win. Well, is it not going to work? Oh, yes, I actually forgot something. Yeah, it's not going to work. Why? Because we didn't start the timer, so we need to start it. So we drag it, drop it, hold Alt, and then do this, and then start. And then just hit play. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the level should repeat. Well, ideally. Okay, it did. 3 seconds is way too long, that's for sure. So, I mean, 3, I guess let's make it 2.5 seconds. Perfect. Okay, so the game is definitely shaping up, but there are still a few small missing pieces. Okay, so I will rush this segment. So we have a bug in here. So we have a bug in here. What if we have 6 horses on the screen? The timer will, and we collect all 6 horses. The timer will start more than once. We do not want that. Fix it. How can we fix it? I will give you a small hint. We define a variable var has game ended equal false, and then has game ended equals true. And then there we go. So let's just do it like this, like this, like this. Okay, so var is basically a variable that we can change. Oh, yes, there we go. Yes, so yeah, fix it. How are you going to fix it? That's up to you, basically. Yeah, that's up to you. It's actually a very simple fix, but I already gave a hint, and yeah, you can think a little bit about it. A hint. Here's another hint. There is a keyword called return, which you may or may not use it. Okay, that's enough on this topic. And let's look at the horses. Okay, so we collect all the horses and the game is done, but the timer is still very long, so 1.5 seconds. Okay, so now what do we want? We have two more elements actually to make into the game. Uh, and then we would be done. So the horses, they start like immediately, but we don't want that. We want to spawn the horses from here, spawner visuals, from the spawner visuals. And here you will see a very poor, actually, let me add a label. Let me move the label. Very poor practice in here. The horse spawner visuals are not a theme, but they are all the same. When you have more than 3 objects that are exactly the same, you should store them in a file, which is called in Godot's terms, which is called scene, basically. Of course, the players won't ever see this because it's outside of the screen. So yeah, that's pretty genius. Okay, homework, fix it, make it a file. Small hint, you right click, save branch as scene, then delete these, then replace them. Okay, perfect. So we want now to, spawn horses, just spawn horses. So how can we do it? Well, let's create a new empty and node 2D, and then let's click on this, move it here, and then put it here, and then what should we call it? Horse spawner. Now the horse spawner is pretty unique. The horse spawner is pretty unique if you ask me, because it doesn't really need visuals. See, it doesn't really need visuals. And if you look for plus and then search for spawn, you will only find multiplayer spawner, which doesn't work for our case at all, and is completely different actually. So we need to code it ourselves. So click the plus, and then again, it's going into levels, and we don't want that. So hit plus, and there we go. We have a horse spawner. So let's think. How should we spawn the horses? We should spawn them every few seconds, So func, ready, and then maybe pass. Actually, we probably don't need this one, but yeah, whatever. We should spawn them every, let's say every 1 second, for example. So we create a timer, something that needs to be done every some amount of time. Obviously, we need a timer. So then we go to node and then signals again and then timeout. And you can see we are reusing the same exact tools. And now you can see we can't just double click anywhere. We should be careful. So this timer is for the horse spawner, but we shouldn't click on the game manager because the horse spawner is the one that spawns the horses. So there we go. And let's see. Yeah. So let's click on signal and then let's see. Should it auto start? Sure, let's make it auto start. Basically, no, let's not make it auto start. Let's use the same approach we used previously. So yeah, the time, let's say 1 second, that's fine. We should start the timer now. So again, same approach. And then, oh, not text. Basically, we say dot start. Yes, start timer. Perfect. And now if we hit play, should have spawned. Let's hit play. Should have spawned. Perfect. So every second it's calling that, once. So let's see. You remember I gave you a hint to use the at export somewhere in here. Yeah, in here. So let's use it actually for spawning horses. At export, you can look at the documentation for it, and that's how you actually. Oh, by the way, Godot has the documentation inside of it. So if you hold left control and then hover over some word, for example, the ready function, it will open an entire description for it. Same thing for the export. Same thing for the export, as you can see. So what should we export? Well, I actually already know what should we export. So you can see that's how we export various things. And I know the type that we should export. This is how you export numbers, by the way, so that you can use it in the game manager. So I should export horse scene, and then it's called packed scene. Oh yeah, var, of course, var. There we go. So we have exported the horse scene. In Unity terms, it's called a prefab, by the way. So horse scene dot instantiate, and then you just leave it empty. And then if you hit play, you'll have to trust me that it's not really going to work. So var cloned horse equals this. Okay. Now, where should the position of this cloned horse be? Well, it should be the same as our position. So what's our position? Transform. Oh, there it is. It's called position. See also global position. Let's click. Oh yeah, global position. See also position. Okay, there isn't really a lot of description in here, but we need the global position essentially for this case. So cloned horse dot global position equals my global position. So how did I know that we need to use the global position? Yeah, okay, let's explain it because it's important. So you remember how I said the visuals should be at 0, 0, because if we move the root, because if we remove the root, and we actually move the root, so look here. So, yeah, okay, so let's just do it like this, and let me actually showcase this really really quickly because it's very important. Actually, it's one of the more important things. So if you look at the wow, okay, where is the horse? Come here, Mr. Horse. So if you look here now, the horse will collide. Okay, so you saw the horse yeah, the collisions were weird. So if we move it a little bit down, the horse will just slip right by us. So if you face this error, then you know that the visuals are not at 0, 0. So what does this mean? So if we change the position, it means we're changing the position relative to our parent, okay? Relative to our parent. So yeah, for spawning objects, it's best practice if you spawn it in terms of the entire world, not of who the parent is. Because for example, if you put this here, then yeah, it will be like very messy. So for example, if you put the spawner here, like okay, so the visuals are here, but the spawner is here. So yeah, if you use like global position, then it's going to be like it will spawn somewhere around here, which is even more confusing. So yeah, for spawning, as a rule of thumb, just use global positions. Otherwise, this relative position thing will, make a mess of things. Okay, so let's see what else is there. Oh yeah, the global position. Oh yeah, let's save now. Click on the horse spawner. You can see we have now a new field here at the very top. And let's see, what should we spawn? The file, and that's one of the good uses why we make our horses as files or why we make objects as files, because now we can just drag the entire file and drop it here. And now if we hit play, okay, it should have spawned, but we can't see it. Why? If you click on remote, click on levels, yeah, okay, never mind. That's yeah, that's for later. Let's leave it for later. In any case, yeah, it should have spawned, but why didn't it? Well, because we never told it who the parent is. So Godot is very strict with that regard. In Unity, you can just spawn anything and it will just, like it will be parented to whatever route it find, like to the big, like basically on the scene itself or the level itself. But for Unity, you need to tell it who, for Godot, you need to tell it who the parent is. So cloned dot, not add child. No, 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 no. So wait, okay. So we need to make the yeah so we should so we should like define who the parent should be. I think a very good place like to find who the parent is basically, let's see, so get tree dot root dot uh, dot add child and then cloned horse. I'll show it to you in 1 second. Like I'll show you the difference in 1 second. So if you look at remote, now, yeah, you can see the horses. Oh, wait, where did the game go? So yeah, you can see the horses do show up here. So yeah, you can see the horses do show up here. Yeah, there they are. All of our horses, they show up here in the route now. Okay, but it's probably best practice if you, but it's probably best practice if you just spawn them at the scene level, at the, yeah, in here basically, at the level, like at the level itself. Okay, so, get here dot, okay, so get the dot scene. Let's see. Current scene is the one that you can use, which is the better, which is the the most ideal approach. So hit play. Now go back to remote. Look, they don't show up under the root. They show up here inside of the level. They show up here inside of the level, which makes sense. Which makes sense because the level is, where they live. But for here, like you can, for example, instantiate global objects in here, singletons, other things, a bit more advanced, and definitely not like out of side of the scope of this session. So yeah, okay. So now we have the ability to spawn the horses, but it's kind of, it's kind of boring to, well, it's kind of boring where every single time like they spawn, so money like one, one, one. We should add some randomization, and I think that would be the final element that we add in here. So export var min min spawn time equal 0.8 at export var max spawn time equals 1.5, for example. Okay. And now, actually, I just noticed a small bug in here. The timer actually starts, keeps looping, this timer of the game manager will actually keep looping, like it will keep running time and time again. Yeah, so you need to give it the one shot property so that it only runs once. And now for this spawner, we should also give it the one-shot property, and then we can do it like this. So let's see, what property should we change if we want to change the time? There it is. It's called wait time. So wait time equal rand. Let's look. So rand if, no, not this one. Rand if range. Yes, there it is. Rand if range from and to, from the minimum to the maximum. And now we can just say timer dot start. So how did I know I need to change this one? This is basically the time, if as you can see, and it actually makes more sense to do it like this in here as well. So now so now if we just hit play, you'll see that our spawning rate is a bit randomized than before, which is nice, Okay, and let's see. Yeah, but here is a small trick. We have repeated code here. We have repeated code here. So when we have repeated code, it's ideal if you put it in a function. So func, and then let's say restart spawn timer, and then just put like this, and then make sure to actually call it here and call it here. Okay, so let's go. There we go. We start. Yay. Okay, so now let's see. I can be very easily tempted to just duplicate, 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 duplicate. But what if I need to make, add other features to the timer where I need other nodes? For example, particles. I want to add particles when I do that, like when I spawn, What's going to happen then? I will need to go through every timer and every spawner and every level and duplicate and add and so on. And that's one of the other, and that's one of the other benefits of storing things in a file. So let's delete these. Let's delete this. Let's save branch as scene. Horse spawner inside of scenes. Save. Perfect. Okay, that's really nice. So now I can just duplicate all of this, and I think the game is done, but we do not have a loss condition. We don't have a loss condition. So I'm going to get you halfway through the loss condition, and it's going to be a small homework to, do the actual loss. And you need to make sure it doesn't conflict with the winning condition. So homework, create the loss condition. Make sure it does not have any conflict with the win condition. If we have already lost, we shouldn't win. If we have already won, we shouldn't lose, basically. Okay, so what's the problem now? So if we hit play, I'm not going to collect anyone or anything really. You will see that like okay, so let's see our problem. Let's see the problem. So I'm going to add a camera 2D and just put it here, and I'll just hit play. So you can see, yeah, now you will see the error. So wait for 1 second, and that's the error. So, and that's something we can use to also, cause the loss condition to. Now, obviously, this is bad for performance because it's a big memory leak, if that makes sense, because it's a big memory leak. Let's see, it's a big memory leak, and that's, we should fix it. So, how should we fix it? Let's think. We need to kill and destroy the horses. How do we detect the horses? Let's remember, we did it through the area that's inside of the player. Okay, perfect. So now we know what tools to use. So let's reuse the same exact tools. Area 2D, horses killer, and it has the exclamation mark. Okay, that's perfect. It needs a collision shape. Make it a box. Here, a rectangle, I guess. Expand it like this. Make it a bit bigger. And then click the W and then just move it like this. And then just move it like this. And now create this. Oh, it's here. Okay, horses trigger. And now we do not horses trigger, but like horses killer, I mean. And where is the script? Here is the script. Perfect. So let's remember what did we do for the player? We went to the player, area 2D, we clicked on the area, and then clicked on node, and then clicked on body entered, and then double clicked, and then we selected the player, and then we had a function to call. Okay, let's do the same thing. So signal. Here it is, node signals, body entered, but we don't click the game manager. Instead, we go to the horses killer, and now we have the function. So if body dot is in group, same code as the one inside of the player, with the difference that we don't really increase the performance. We don't really increase the score. That's the only difference. So player, horses, killer, whatever. Oh yeah, there it is in group. What's the group name? I actually forgot. So let's copy it from the player. Horses group, yes, horses group. Horses group. And then these two double dots. And then body dot Q3. And now let's hit play and see if we actually have this. Okay, they vanished. See, perfect. Now we don't have a big memory leak. Okay, so call something from the game manager to handle the lost state in here. So yeah, it's almost the same as what we did inside of the player. Now I think we're done in terms of this game, to be honest, and the goal that we wanted to achieve. We explored all of the big tools. I will only, however, add one more hint here. So another hint, and let's put it here. Again, let's be organized. So not 2D, hints. So let's see. Here are these two, and I'll put them here. Perfect. So what is this one? Inspector. Homework. The player can pass through enemies left, not through enemies. The player can pass through the left part of the map and the right part of the map. Investigate how to fix it using more static bodies, walls, and using the layers system. What is the layered system? I'll show you where it exists and then the rest is for you. That's the layered system, basically. You need to do something in here to be able to fix it. It will require some reading. You hover over the thing and you read. Hover over it and then you read again. And if you set these things up properly, it will fix it. However, you should be aware that if you set things up wrongly, not everything will break, but like some things will stop colliding with other things. But yes, that's how you fix it, through the layers trick, basically. You can edit the layer names and give them the layers. For example, player layer, wall layer, uh, player block layer. Now close, so you can see. So yeah, you can give them names and stuff, but we don't really. But like what if you hover over it, you can see player layer and so on. But yeah, that really doesn't matter at all. You don't really even need the names. So yes, let's see. So let's recap what we have just. So let's recap what we have just explored. These are all of the project files. We have explored many of the key concepts of Godot. Like you should be able, like these concepts are enough to be able to build prototypes as you need and as you like, as you need, basically. Like, yeah, for prototypes, this is pretty much enough. But if you still need more information, so in the, where is the chat? Okay, here it is. Okay, yeah, where it is again. So yes, if you need extra resources, so I have on YouTube like another video that's like 1 hour on Godot again, and we have this video that's in Godot 3D, but it's also like, let's see, how long is it? Yeah, so it's around 4 hours. So it's around 4 hours. Some parts of the video are, slower than this, and some parts of the video are faster than this. But again, the same rules really apply. like for any learning material, really. It's not just for game development. It's literally like what I used when studying physics, like even up to the master's level of physics. That's literally the approach I used. First time, I read and watch or read or watch alongside the professor and follow along to the best of my ability. Second time, I do it like repeat the same thing on my own if it's recorded, and if it's not recorded, then from the book basically. And I take notes on where my pitfalls are and where I struggle. And then I do everything a third time where I try to solve all of the problems on my own. I will get stuck, and I do get stuck. And then I look for the solution inside of the learning instructions and how the professor did it and so on, or how the instructor does it. And then I write them in notes, and then I look at mine, and then at the end of the third step, I look at my notes, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, so I know my pitfalls and so on. And finally, which is a final step, which is go above and beyond, which is basically remake the same game but add your flavor to it. However it is, whether it's changing visuals, changing colors, adding, for example, we didn't explore particle systems. Maybe you can explore it and add particles on your own. But yeah. Now, for this video, we explored the key basics of Godot. We explored the key basics of Godot and all of the core functionality, signals, groups, collisions, writing basic scripts, and one of the most important elements on how to clean up, like on one of the most important elements on how to know which properties. Oh yeah, I should remove the camera. Yeah, and one of the more important elements, which is basically like on how to know which properties to modify. Yeah, and that's basically it for this session. And we completed the game again, so I will like come on. So I'm going to basically just do this. I'll basically, once this is done, like yeah, we're done basically. So yeah, I will like zip this and then upload it to that same Google Drive directory, and I'll name it live session basically. So yes, that's it, everyone. And if anyone that's it from me. And if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate. Oh, and thank you for sticking, like pushing through and sticking by until the end. Oh, I actually forgot to speak about this one. Oh yeah, well, like by the way, we're having. I'm actually making a game that will have its beta launched later on within this month. So if you want to join the beta, like here is basically the link again. Here is basically the link. And yeah, that's it from me. If anyone has any questions, don't hesitate, and have a good day, everyone. Oh yeah, and I guess Ashraf, you can take over if you're here.
Yep. Awesome. So thank you so much, Matasam. Honestly, this was really, really wonderful. Really appreciate you sharing with us a lot of your knowledge from Godot. A lot of the things that that you taught us today will definitely be useful to anyone that's interested in, getting a bit better at learning Godot and giving it themselves a good start in game dev. So thank you so much, guys. If you have any questions, let us know. Also, Matasam is in our server. So if you have questions, just throw them on the dev channel. And Motsum, is this okay? Would you prefer if they tag you if they
Yeah,
have questions? Awesome.
yeah.
Perfect.
If anyone has any questions, whether it's about the live session directly or even the two extra Godot videos that I put in
Mhm.
the extra resources, you can ask away. And even if it's about none of these and you just want to ask any general question, whether it's Godot or even Unity, like yeah, don't hesitate.
Mhm. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, honestly. This was really, really great. And don't forget to sign up for the beta of the game as well to see what Motasim's been cooking. And yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. And we will see you very soon.
Yeah, have a good evening, everyone, and best of luck. Goodbye.
Yep. Thank you. See ya.